Hello friends and welcome. Thank you so much for giving me the gift of your time today. It's been said that nothing frames the face so beautifully or gives an instantaneous lift quite like beautifully shaped eyebrows. Eyebrows are one of our most important facial features because of the many functions they perform. They help accentuate our eyes, shape our face, and play a powerful role in communication. But as we'd all agree, our eyebrows undergo quite a few changes as we get older. Everything from brow hairs getting sparse and patchy, to receding fronts and tails, to hairs getting longer and more unruly, and turning gray and white in addition to that. But the good news is that eyebrows are the one thing we can get into shape without exercising. And there are some quick and easy ways to solve these eyebrow challenges so we can once again have gorgeous brows that beautifully frame our face. We'll talk about the easiest ways to create gorgeous brows in just a moment, but before we do, let me first give a warm welcome to any of you who have stopped by for the very first time, and a warm welcome back to those of you who are already part of this family. If you, like me, are over 50, you've probably noticed some other changes in addition to changes with your brows. And those changes mean that the makeup techniques and products we once used most likely don't work as well for us now. So as a makeup artist who specializes in helping women over 50 look their best, I love sharing makeup tips, techniques, and products that can help us not only look our very best, but which can also help us feel more confident. And that's what this channel is all about. So if this focus sounds like something that would be a fit for you, I hope you'll join our wonderful family here and subscribe. The two most important qualities of our brows are their color and their shape. And both of these qualities change, unfortunately, as we get older. Let's first talk color and then we'll focus on shape. There are two general rules of thumb related to eyebrow color other than white brow hairs, and we'll talk about white brow hairs a little bit later. The first general rule is to keep our brow color as close as possible to our hair color, or 1 or 2 shades lighter or 1 or 2 shades darker. What's really most important in making the choice of how light or dark we want to go is personal preference. And the activities we'll be doing on a specific day can also play a part in making our choice. For instance, most days we may prefer to fill in our brows to match our hair color or to go 1 or 2 shades lighter. But if we're going to a special event, we might like a slightly more dramatic look and go 1 or 2 shades deeper. The second rule of thumb, which is really important, is for our brow color to match the undertone of our natural hair color and skin. So for instance, if we have a cool skin and hair undertone, we'll want to stick with brow colors that are cool. And if we have a warm undertone to our skin and hair, we'll want to go with brow colors that have some warmth to them. If you're not sure of the undertone of your skin, I put a link in the description box to a video that will help you determine if you have a warm, cool, or neutral undertone. Since an eyebrow pencil might have a cool undertone or a warm undertone, it's important to either test the color in person or look at the description of the color. Luckily, on the Sephora website, you'll always find a brief description of the colors such as cool blonde or warm golden blonde, which can be really helpful. But unfortunately, those undertone descriptions aren't always on drugstore product websites. In fact, once I purchased a medium brown eyebrow pen at a drugstore, assuming that it would work for me, but it turned out that it was a very red brown, which didn't work at all on my cool-toned ash brown colored hair and cool-toned skin. But you may be wondering, what do I do if I have gray, silver, or white hair? The best gray eyebrow color for gray, silver, or white hair will usually be a light or a deep gray or a taupe shade. And once again, the choice boils down to personal preference. At the end of the day, you get to decide what you're most comfortable with and which makes you feel most confident. Unfortunately, not that many cosmetic brands carry gray eyebrow pencils, so let me mention a few brands that do. And as always, I'll put a link to these products as well as other products I'll be mentioning in the description box below. The brands include the drugstore brand NYX, Benefit Cosmetics, and the Sephora brand. And there's a site called I Embrace, which carries eyebrow products for women with gray, silver, or white hair, which I've also listed in the description box. The important thing to remember about eyebrow pencils is that the greater the pressure you apply, the darker the color will be, and lighter pressure will produce a lighter color. And gray eyebrow products are not the only option if you have white, gray, or silver hair. Often a taupe color can work wonderfully well. Now let's talk eyebrow shape. Since we often lose brow hairs in the tail or the front of our brows, it's important to recreate that shape in order for our eyebrows to look their best. To know where our brows should start, simply place a pencil or a pen along the side of the nose and point it straight up toward the hairline. This is where the brow should start. Let me demonstrate. So I'm taking a thin pencil along the outer edge of my nostril, and it hits right here. So that's where my eyebrow should start. Next, hold the pencil or pen against the nose again and then swivel it so it touches the outer corner of the eye. This is where the brow should end. So I'm taking the same pencil and I'm rotating it or swiveling it this way to the outer corner of my eye. And that's where my brow should end. Next, we need to fill in our brows, but this is where it gets a bit tricky because often our brow hairs have gotten sparser, scraggly, or patchy, and many brow hairs may be gray or white. And one brow may be shaped a bit differently from the other brow because after all, our eyebrows are not really sisters. In fact, some of them are distant cousins. All of these issues make it far more time-consuming and challenging to fill in our brows so they look even and polished. But there is a brow tool that can make this whole process faster and easier. It's a brow stencil. Brow stencils let us shape our brows like a pro in very little time. But I'm not talking about individual stencils that we hold up to our brow with one hand, because individual stencils are cumbersome since it's necessary to hold them in place with one hand and use the other hand to apply the brow product. And there's no guarantee that when we put the stencil up to our other eye that we'll place it exactly in the same position. The easiest eyebrow stencil to use is one that has a thin elastic band that goes around the head so the stencil easily fits over both eyebrows. Let me show you. This stencil allows both of my hands to be free, and since it covers both brows will look exactly alike. There are a number of different brow shaped stencils in each package, so it's easy to find one that's very close to the shape of our brows, or one that's slightly different from our brow shape, but one that we might choose to go ahead and use. For instance, my brows don't really have much of an arch to them, so I pick a brow stencil that's close to my brow shape, but which has slightly more arch than my natural brows. Then, once we place the stencil over both brows, we're ready to apply our eyebrow product of choice. If our brows have gotten quite a bit sparser, it may work well to take a brow pencil and trace the shape of the brow first, and then fill in that shape with a brow powder, pencil, gel, or pen, whatever product you feel most comfortable using. So I'm going to go ahead and put on this stencil and then create the outline of the brow that I want to fill in. Now, as you can see from this stencil, both of my eyebrows have lost part of the front area, this one the most. And definitely there's some very sparse tail brow hairs here. So I'm taking my eyebrow pencil, this one happens to be from the drugstore brand NYX, and I'm going to outline my brow shape first. Now I have a scar on this eyebrow, so sometimes it's a little bit difficult to go over that scar. Now you can see that I'm not filling it in all the way up because I don't want my brows to be quite that bushy. But if you do want to fill in extra space, you want to do it on the top part of your brow and not the bottom. Usually my eyebrow product of choice is powder, although sometimes I'll just use a pencil, or sometimes I'll also use a pomade, or sometimes even combine several of those modes. But today I'm using the brow powder I usually use, which is a medium brown color from the brand ABH, or Anastasia of Beverly Hills. What I love about this product is that they're two shades, so you can really create a custom color. So I like to start in the middle of my brow first because that's when I have the most product on my brush, and this is where I want the heaviest concentration of color. And I want to take it down to the tail, and then I start combining the two colors, the lighter and the darker, to fill in. And a wonderful tool to have is an eyebrow brush that has a spoolie on the other end like this, because I will use that to really get the powder evenly distributed, and it also gets off any excess powder so your brows look more natural. So it was a little more heavy-handed in one area, so I can fill in where I wasn't as heavy-handed and take off some where I was. Now, if I were going to a special event, I might want to go even a little bit deeper with my brow color. And by the way, you may have noticed that if you are using a stencil, you probably want to put your earrings on after you're through with the stencil. In general, a powder can more easily create a softer look, so that's what I was using today. If we're adding volume to our brow, it's important to fill in the brow at the top rather than the bottom, as I mentioned, since it can help our eyes look their best if we keep as much space as possible open between our lash line and our eyebrow. Once we have the brow shape filled in, we can remove the stencil, and then, depending on our brow hair issues, we may want to add additional brow products. We may want to create more fullness if we have sparse brows, add a brow gel that will cover white, gray, or silver brow hairs, or add more hold if we have wiry brow hairs. To create more fullness, a product that can help is one that has built-in fibers that add volume, such as e.l.f.'s Wow Brow or Benefit's Gimme Brow. I'm going to go ahead and use e.l.f. Wow Brow on one of my brows so you can see how it works. I have 2 of the 4 colors, a lighter shade and a deeper shade. I'm going to start with the lighter and then I'll add some of the deeper. And this is where a spoolie comes in handy. And now I'm going to add some of the deeper. And I think I was almost out of product in that first one, which is why you didn't see much difference. But here I think you can see a little bit more volume building up. And one of the very few products I've found that actually covers up white and gray brow hairs is this little gem from Maybelline called Express Brow Fast Sculpt Eyebrow Gel Mascara. What a name. I'm going to go ahead and cover up my white and gray brow hairs using this Maybelline product. It really does an amazing job. I think they've now actually changed the name so it's not quite as long. So I have white and gray brow hairs right here, and I'm just going to go in there, and I have a lot more on the front part of this brow. If our brows are extremely wiry and don't stay in place well, a brow gel with hold can really solve the problem. 2 products that work exceptionally well are the Brow Freeze product from ABH and one from Rare Beauty called Brow Harmony Flexible Lifting Gel. I'm going to apply the Rare Beauty gel on one eyebrow so you can see the difference. This is the Rare Beauty product. Now, what it says to do is to just go straight up. I think you can see it's really making a difference in lifting my brows and making them look more natural as well, because you can see the individual brow hairs a little bit better. And I think I'll try and make my brows even by doing the same on the other side. Well, it's always a good idea with any product to wipe a little bit of it off on the side of the tube before applying it so you don't have too much or one big piece that comes out. So there you have it. Once we've decided on the color that will work best for our brows, the easiest way to create our perfect brow look is to fill in our brows using the type of stencil that I demonstrated, and then adding any other products such as Wow Brow or Gimme Brow to add volume, adding Maybelline's Express Brow Fast to cover white, gray, or silver brow hairs, or adding a product like Rare Beauty or ABH's product to hold brow hairs in place. If you enjoyed today's video, I'd greatly appreciate it if you'd give it a thumbs up, since that lets a YouTube algorithm know that you enjoyed it, and it really helps my channel. And if you'd also enjoy a personalized makeup consultation via Zoom, or would like to receive my weekly newsletter, just drop me a line at boomerandbeyondbeauty@gmail.com to let me know. I look forward to seeing you again next week, and until then, I wish you good health and happiness, and I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day. Take care.